One of my favorite things about Trackmania is the extensive customization. You can create your own maps, server to play with friends, horn sounds, engine sounds, campaigns, and even your own nickname can be special. And out of all of these, probably the most seen is your skin, right? You can create your own model with the in-game painter, or even by modifying the files with an external image editing tool, and Nadeo was merciful enough to give players some default skin, which has been in the franchise since the very beginning. For some bit of history, in 2006, Nadeo released Trackmania Electronic Sports World Cup, also known as Trackmania ESWC, which had a focus on being international and contained default skin representing each country. These skins were naturally very popular, as you may imagine, as most people wanted to represent their own country, and if your custom skin didn't load, then people will just see your country's car anyway. After the release of that game, all future instances of the stadium environment will contain a group of cars representing countries of the world. And for that much effort in representing countries, well, you'd hope that Nadeo will pay some sort of special attention that these cars were at least made correctly. Well, those skins contain plenty of errors. In fact, during our research for the iceberg, I was searching for example of known errors to show in the video when Shmanuel and I got the idea to check all the skins for potential errors. Later on, Helico also brought a collection of errors she found, and let's go together through all of the games featuring the stadium environments, with the exception of TMDS and TMWE, as they both feature the same skin as TMNF. And now, without further ado, let's talk about Trackmania Electronic Sports World Cup. As I said in the intro, Trackmania Nation ESWC is the first game to contain national cars. As you may know, all countries in the world have strict rules about how to recreate their flag, and we can say that Nadeo literally didn't follow them at all. Let me introduce to you the list of all the errors we found in that car collection. ESWC has two different kinds of cars, default and the original looking cars. The default car is the base of a handful of country cars and is just some flags on a grey background. You may ask, why am I talking about the default car skin? Surely that you didn't make a mistake on such a simple skin. You really shouldn't make those assumptions, because the ESWC logos in front of the car are slightly not aligned, which means that this error is present in all of the default national cars. Literally unplayable. Also, as a side note, while this video is primarily about flags, we will also mention errors in the skinning as a whole, like the misalignment we just mentioned, and also UI errors later on. Despite the Australian car having the base of the default one, they still managed to mirror the flag but not everywhere, which means that there are mirrored and non-mirrored flags on the same side in two different places. The Austrian car contains a very odd recreation of its flag in motion. Nadeo used unofficial trigrams to represent each country's and used BIH for Bosnia-Herzegovina. Just like all the other skins, they use this trigram all over the car. However, they also put BOSS on it, and it is the only car with two different trigrams. The Belarus flag was very poorly remade with the painter to recreate the ornamental pattern, but the result is just terrible. Plus, it got mirrored on the other side. Also, on the head of the pilot, the ESWC logos aren't aligned correctly and you can't unsee it. The Bulgarian car in general looks very empty. When you compare it to the other skins, they all look full with different logos everywhere. It looks like they just forgot to put the logos on the car except the two logos in the middle. Pretty strange. Nadeo forgot to put the other trigram in the front of the car representing Canada. On the Caribbean car, they put a Trackmania logo on both sides, but one logo is way bigger than the other. There is a small artifact in the head of the Chinese pilot. The Cyprus flag, which represents its own country borders, is mirrored. The Danish flag is also homemade for the best result possible. Nadeo also hit the bonus point with a mirrored version of this flag from Wish, like they did with Belarus. On the Egyptian car, the spoiler has a written version of ESWC, but it is cropped to read Tronic Sport World, so... Also, strangely enough, this car is the only one that features the logo of Trackmania Sunrise, the previous game from Nadeo, on the front fenders. The German car probably possesses the most popular error among all of the ESWC skins. The flag of Germany was replaced by the Belgian flag in the background. On a side note, Ryulu said during his marathon that the presence of the federal coat of arms on the skin makes it illegal due to copyrights. However, this is not true for the one used in-game. The Great British car has many blue artifacts on the sides of the seat, probably because the blue is the background and the flag decal didn't reach every area. The South Korean flag is composed of 4 trigrams and a symbol in the middle called the taeguk. The official rule to recreate the flag is to put the symbol horizontally and place the red on top and the blue on the bottom. Well, Nadeo just decided to rotate it all over the skin like nothing happened. For an unknown reason, the number 32 is written on the Kuwait flag in multiple places. We tried to search for a meaning for it, but we couldn't find anything. If you have any ideas, don't hesitate to tell us, and it's also the only car with a number on it. The car from Oman has 2 Nvidia's logo on the back of the car that aren't aligned well. Just like the Belarus flag, the Panamanian flag was very poorly recreated in the skin via the painter on both sides of the car, resulting in a very comic version. With how terrible it looks, why not recreate a sticker with a flag instead of this monstrosity? Also, there is a blue spot on the underside of the car. On the United Arab Emirates car, there are 2 pairs of 2 logos being misaligned on the back of the skin. And finally, the Vietnamese car's flag has black borders on both sides. At the start of the video, I mentioned how each car represents a country. But is that even true? There is one small discrepancy to that statement with the flag of Martinique. Martinique is a French sub-region, but Nadeo decided it to be worthy of its own skin. The question is, why is this skin represented when some countries, like Poland for example, did not even get their own skin in ESWC at all? Also, the devs gives you the possibility to personalize your profile picture with a small list of flags you can choose from. And guess what? The Martinique flag is also present on that list, while real countries with their own car skin in the game aren't even there. We should also note that this particular discrepancy also happens for the next game we will talk about. In April of 2008, Nadeo released their second instance of the stadium environment, together with brand new national car skins, but they also extended the avatar selection menu with more countries. We find on this menu, as I just talked about, the Martinique flag, which is still a French sub-region even after 2 whole years. The present of it is strange, as it can't be an error, as it's present in 2 different games. Maybe it's because one of the devs, or maybe even Helico, is related to this particular place and decided to put it into the final game. The SCG flag is present on this menu, but this country split and became both Serbia and Montenegro back in 2006, 2 years before even TMNF got released. However, there is no skin for it in the game, unlike TM ESWC. On a side note, the devs decided to put Serbia as well, but not Montenegro, on both the avatar selection menu and the car skin, which means that if you come from Serbia, technically speaking, you can actually choose between 2 different avatars. India and Ireland have yellow on the flag instead of orange, but the orange color on the Côte d'Ivoire flag is respected for some reason. The Venezuelan flag has the coat of arms present, even though it shouldn't, as it is a military flag and not the civilian flag. 3 of the countries shown on this menu don't have their car skin. These countries are Jamaica, Iceland and Singapore. Singapore being even weirder considering the fact that it had its ESWC car skin version, but not a TMNF one. As a honorable mention, some country flags are squished, such as Ecuador, Guatemala, Kazakhstan, Latvia, Libya, Malaysia, Nigeria, Philippines and Uzbekistan. Note that this isn't related to size issues, as for the flag of Uzbekistan, the ratio should be 1:2, which means that the width of the flag should be twice as long as the height, which is clearly not the case in game. In fact, the non-squished flags are on about a 1:2.3 ratio. The avatar selection menu isn't the only place you can find the flags of a country. You also find them on the player region selection menu, when we can find an interesting thing to say about the Luxembourg flag they used. In fact, you can find another use of the coat of arms where it shouldn't. On this menu, together with the avatar selection menu, you can find the flag of the Democratic Republic of Congo, designated by the name Congo, and the CGO trigram. However, this trigram represents the Republic of Congo, which is correctly represented on the CGO car skin, which is not the same country like at all. This is the same type of error as saying that both North and South Korea are the same country. Now, let's take a look into what is probably the most popular national skin collection from Trackmania as a whole, presented to you by Shmanuel.
2 of the 4 flags represented on the Brazilian card are upside down, one on the left side and the other one on the front of the car, which means that the flag is only upside down on one of the sides and not on the other. Despite the avatar flag of Côte d'Ivoire using the correct orange, the car skin uses the same desaturated colors as the other flags mentioned before. The Ecuador flag on the car is slightly off-centered and you literally cannot unsee it now. The flag of Iraq used on the car is an obsolete flag at the time of TMNF's release. In fact, the flag changed on the 22nd January 2008, 3 months before the release of the game. Funnily enough, the correct flag is used on the avatar selection menu, but it wasn't changed on the skin. The Kazakhstan flag is also upside down, but only on the back of the car. In general, all the cars use different fonts and flag sizes. You can see it when you change between them in the select menu. Next time you will see these cars, you might only think about the small errors presented on them. Sorry about that.
Now that we successfully ruined your TMNF experience, we will go over the next game of the franchise. In July of 2013, they released the third stadium game, but this time, they decided not to create new cars. They just took the TMNF ones, but it doesn't mean that we have nothing to say about them. They tried to correct the Brazilian car skin by changing the left-hand side flag to be the right way up, but they forgot the other one present in the front. No other skins has changed between TMNF and TM2, which means that the Iraq skin still contains the obsolete flag on it, but also Libya changed their flag in 2011, between the release of the two games, meaning that it became obsolete between TMNF and TM2. Nadeo must not have checked if any country changed their flag at the time, since this was quite a significant change. As you may imagine, there are also a couple of errors in the avatar selection menu. They are the Bangladesh flag is centered, even though it shouldn't be, and the Union Jack being off-centered and missing a whole part. And that's basically it for Trackmania 2 Stadium. In March of 2016, Nadeo released their first game on consoles with the goal to reach even more people across the world. Nadeo met this goal since Turbo is their best-selling game. With this in mind, you will again expect them to take care of how all countries will be represented in the game. Unsurprisingly, it's once again sprinkled with errors, first in the car skins. Nadeo literally forgot to put the flag on the Cambodia on the car skin. It is the only car without the presence of any national flags. The Chinese car uses the 5-star symbol from the flag of China on the car. However, none of them are facing the correct side as all the symbols are mirrored on each edge. The Gambian car has the name of another country, Gabon, on its car. It probably wasn't changed due to the name of these two countries being similar, next to each other alphabetically. The Dutch car has another upside-down flag. On both the cars of Panama and Palestine, Nadeo forgot the name of the country on the left wing of the car. With Palestine, it's clear that this is because of the black text on a black background, but it's not what happened to the car of Panama, where Nadeo seemed to simply forget about the name. And that's it for the cars. Now let's talk about the flags themselves. The flag from Bangladesh is centered in the game despite it being uncentered in the real one, just like the TM2 avatar. The Barbados flag has a small shadow error in the menu. Nadeo decided to represent Malta with a civilian flag rather than a national flag. This isn't an error at all in this context, it is just an odd choice though. On a side note, it's not only in Turbo but in all the Trackmania games where Malta is present except for TM 2020. The flag from Mauritania was changed in 2017, shortly after the game's release, making it now obsolete. The flag of Chad and Romania are the exact same on the menu. In real life, the two flags are close but still distinguishable, but here you actually need to read the flag's name to be sure you selected the right country. And finally, the Union Jack has its diagonal lines connected to the middle lines. Clearly, Nadeo seems to have trouble representing the Great Britain flag, as it is the only country for now with errors on each Trackmania games. We showed you the errors on the cars in the flag selection menu. There is another small error presenting the game's texture. In fact, if you want to change the signs of a map, you have the choice of over 10 pages of default textures. On the 6th page, there is a small list of flags you can choose from. All of them are normal, except for the UK flags, which still has the diagonal lines connected to the central cross. There is one texture called flag Ita. Now, let me introduce you to the famous Italian flag. What even is this? You can see it on the text Ci va presto va lontano, which is an idiom meaning slow and steady wins the race, which has nothing to do with the flag of Italy. Alright, let's call it a day for TM Turbo. Now, let's see what Nadeo cooked us for its finest, most recent, and surely the game with the least amount of mistakes in the list. Released in July of 2020, it appears to be the game with the fewest mistakes when it comes to representing different nationalities. Let's begin with an error we can find on multiple cars. In fact, on the cars of Austria, Hungary, Ukraine and Armenia, all of the flags on the side are misplaced by a few pixels, making the flag below visible. We can recognize the flag of Belgium under the Austrian and Ukrainian flag, but Armenia and Hungary seem to just have two colors under the flag. The flag on one side of the Costa Rican car is facing ever so slightly diagonally, which can be seen best in a side-by-side shot. On the front of the Paraguay car, the coat of arms is off-centered. It's also missing the text saying República del Paraguay. On the Kuwait car, they place the border under the flag on the left side. That is all we could find on the car skins. On the flag selection menu, there isn't any error, just some small things to say, like the wavy effect on the flag, except of a handful of them, like the flag of Central African Republic, Niger, Seychelles, East Timor and Lebanon. There are also two flags that brought questions. First, the flag of Costa Rican seems to be bugging, as the red color is very dark with the presence of small artifacts on it. Lastly, the flag of Taiwan isn't the national flag at all. After further digging, it seemed that this flag was made up by Nadeo to avoid the Chinese government being offended by the presence of the Taiwan flag, so they created one using the plum flower symbol linked with the country, though this isn't 100% confirmed, so if you have any other idea on where this flag is from, please tell us in the comments. But we still have to talk about one thing. You might recognize this background present on the profile menu. However, you might not remember that it got changed at some point. Well, it used to depict country borders and not just land outlines. And I can tell you that Nadeo really messed up on it. Many places aren't represented on the map. Countries such as Japan, Brunei, East Timor, the Galapagos, Lesser Antilles, Bahamas, Canary Islands, Hawaii, Cyprus, Crete, Eritrea, Balearic Islands, and Scandinavian Islands. They also forgot the border between Sudan and South Sudan. In Canada, they included the provincial border along the 60th parallel. And finally, they put Czechoslovakia border in Europe despite the country not existing since 1992. That was quite a good move from Nadeo to remove those borders. Before we started searching for errors with Schmaniel and Helico, we heavily misjudged the amount of errors in Trackmania. In all the games of the franchise where national skins are present, it's important to say that none of these issues represents any provocation or disrespect to any countries. They are all genuine errors made because the skins are made at the end of the development process. With this in mind, the skinners and developers probably just didn't have the time to double check any errors before releasing the game. After all, everything we pointed out in this video are just some small fun facts about the game's history. Thanks again to Helico and Schmaniel for the help during the research. We sincerely hope you enjoyed this video. Do not hesitate to subscribe if you don't want to miss any future projects. See you in the next one and have a great day.